The movie starts in a village called Burke, and it's an old village known for hunting and catching animals. But this village is facing a big problem, which is the dragons that always used to attack the village and hunt the animals. But the people of the village refuse to leave the village and go away because they're Vikings, who are known to be a stubborn and strong people. And we meet a boy named Hiccup, who is terrified of dragons and used to run away from them. And Stoik, the chief of the village, orders him to go inside, and we see him attacking the dragon bravely, and the Vikings attack the dragons with their weapons. And Hiccup goes to the blacksmith, whose name is Gabur, and Hiccup wanted to join the battle and fight the dragons. And he sees a beautiful girl fighting in the battle named Astrid, and Hiccup wanted to kill a dragon so Astrid would like him. But Gabur tells him, "You'll never join the battle because you're weak and can't even carry a hammer. The best you can do is sharpen swords." And Hiccup gets frustrated and says, "One day I'll go out and fight dragons because that's the most important thing in the village." And suddenly the Night Fury dragon attacks the village, and it's the strongest dragon of all, and it never showed up before, and it always attacks from a distance and hits its target. And Hiccup wants to be the first person to kill the Night Fury dragon, and he takes advantage of Gabur leaving and grabs a weapon he made himself to kill the Night Fury. And really, Hiccup keeps watching the dragon in the sky and waits for the right moment and attacks it with the weapon, and surprisingly, he manages to hit it, and the dragon falls to the ground. But another dragon appears behind Hiccup and chases him and tries to burn him with fire, and it was about to kill him, but Stoik jumps in and attacks it. And Stoik lands a few strong punches, and the dragon grows and flies away. And after that, the dragons leave after stealing the animals they could grab. And we discover that Stoik, the village chief, is Hiccup's father, and he decides to punish him because he joined the battle. And Hiccup tells him, "I managed to hit the Night Fury dragon," but Stoik doesn't believe him and shuts him up and tells him, "I'm always busy, trying to get food for the village, and you almost caused a disaster. I'm asking you to listen to me and stay out of any dragon fights. You're special in a lot of things, except killing dragons." And Hiccup didn't like his father's words and wanted to prove to everyone that he's not weak. And Gabur takes him to walk, and the villagers make fun of Hiccup because they don't believe he hit the Night Fury dragon. And Hiccup tells Gabur, "I really hit the dragon, but my dad doesn't believe me or even listen to me." Gabur tells him, "Your dad just wants you to be yourself and not do something you don't know how to do." And Hiccup refuses what he said and goes inside the house. And then Stoik gathers the people of the village and tells them, "We have to go out to sea and find the dragon nest so we can get rid of them and stop them from attacking us again." But the villagers are scared to go on such a mission, and they all refuse to go with Stoik. So Stoik tells them, whoever stays in the village will take care of Hiccup. Then suddenly, all the villagers stand up and agree to go with Stoik because nobody wants to babysit Hiccup. Then Stoik asks Gabur, "What should I do with Hiccup?" And Gabur advises him and says, "We have to train him because you won't always be around to protect him. So he needs to depend on himself and learn how to fight dragons." And after thinking, Stoik agrees with the idea. While Hiccup had gone out to the forest alone because he was looking for the Night Fury dragon that fell in the forest, and actually he manages to find it and sees it lying there not moving, and he gets happy that he caught the Night Fury dragon, and he approaches it with a knife to kill it. But when he sees its eye, he feels bad for it and steps back from the idea of killing it and decides to free it and cuts the ropes. And as soon as the dragon gets freed, it attacks Hiccup and could have killed him, but doesn't, and we notice that it's flying with difficulty. And Hiccup catches his breath after thinking he was about to die. And when he goes home, his dad surprises him and tells him, "I've decided that you'll learn how to fight dragons," and gives him an axe to use in training and tells him, "It's time for you to become one of us." And Hiccup was hesitant because he's afraid of dragons, especially after seeing the Night Fury up close, but he agrees to his father's orders. And the next day, Hiccup joins his classmates in training, and Gabur tells the students that behind these doors there are a bunch of dragons locked up, and Gabur releases a weak dragon called Gronkle so the students can try to kill it. And Gabur gives them instructions and tells them the most important thing is to hold on to your shields because the shield is more important than the sword. And Gronkle manages to knock out 2 of the students, so they get kicked out of training, and the rest of the students bang on their shields and make noise so that they distract the dragon like that. And Gronkle shoots his fire at a few other students and knocks them out, and only Hiccup and Astrid, the girl he likes, are left. And Gronkle was about to kill Hiccup, but Gabur saves him and tells Hiccup, "Don't ever trust any dragon, because they always kill their prey." And the dragon goes back into the cage, and after hearing that, Hiccup becomes curious to know why the Night Fury refused to kill him. And he searches for it again in the forest and follows its tracks until he finds it not able to fly or leave that valley. And Hiccup decides to draw it and understands that it can't fly because part of its tail was cut off. Then he opens the dragon book to learn more about the Night Fury, and he finds info about all the dragons except the Night Fury because no one had ever seen it before, and it only said that if you find this dragon, you have to run away immediately because it's extremely dangerous, and if it sees you, you better hide or pray you don't die. Meanwhile, Stoic and the Vikings had gone out on ships into the sea and were searching for the dragon's nest, and when they entered a smoky area, they were attacked right away. And at the same time, Hiccup joins the training, and, as usual, he was weak and scared and always running, but Astrid managed to get close and attack the dragon, and tells Hiccup, try to take this seriously and decide if you'll be a fighter or not. And after that, Hiccup goes to the valley to offer a fish to the Night Fury, but the Night Fury didn't trust him because of the knife he had, so Hiccup throws the knife away to show that he came in peace. So the Night Fury trusts him and eats half the fish and gives him the other half, and Hiccup started to like him while eating the fish. And after a bit, the Night Fury draws a path in the sand with a tree branch, and when Hiccup walks on the path, he finds a dragon in front of him, and he wanted to put his hand and touch him, and the Night Fury lets him touch him. After that, Hiccup spends the whole night making a sail for Toothless Torntail, and he actually manages to build it and decides to name him Toothless. And he gives him a bucket full of fish, and Hiccup realizes that the dragon is scared of the sea serpent. So Hiccup throws it away, and Toothless gets distracted with the fish and starts eating them. And Hiccup takes the chance and installs the sail on his tail. So when Toothless felt like he could fly, he flew without hesitation, and Hiccup was riding on the dragon's tail, and he was happy that his invention worked. But Toothless throws Hiccup into the water and tries to fly alone and escape, but he fails. After that, Hiccup goes back to training, and this time they face a dragon called the Zippleback, and it's a two-headed dragon. One head blows gas, and the other head blows fire. And the task the students have is to tell the difference between the two heads and spray water on the head that blows fire. But all the students fail, except Hiccup, who uses another trick, and he manages to scare the Zippleback back into its cage, and everyone is surprised by that and didn't understand how. And it turns out that Hiccup scared the dragon with the sea serpent, and he doesn't tell anyone that secret. And Astrid herself wants to understand how that happened. After that, Hiccup builds a chair to sit on when he rides Toothless, and Toothless realizes that the sail on his tail doesn't work unless Hiccup is riding it. Then they fall into the grass, and Hiccup sees that Toothless loves to play in the grass. So he takes that idea and uses it the next day in training. And he goes back to Toothless and finds out that when he scratches under his neck, he falls asleep instantly. So Hiccup uses the same move in training. And because of that, all the students start liking Hiccup and getting close to him. And Hiccup stays like that for a long time, and he's able to beat many dragons, and Astrid starts getting suspicious and jealous and begins to spy on Hiccup's movements. As for Hiccup and Toothless, they become best friends. And after days pass, Stoic and his fleet return defeated, and Stoic tells Gobber, we couldn't even get close to the dragon's nest. But he's shocked when he finds out the village people now love Hiccup, and he gets even more surprised when Gobber tells him that Hiccup now can defeat dragons. And at the same time, Hiccup and Toothless were flying above the clouds, and Hiccup was controlling the sail's movement, and they were practicing flying positions. But a problem happens, and the two get separated from each other, and Toothless and Hiccup fall toward the ground, but Hiccup barely manages to get back on Toothless' back, and they save themselves at the last second. And they fly between the rocks and celebrate their success, and they go sit near the dragon's nest, and some baby dragons show up and wanted to eat the fish. And Hiccup gives one of them a fish, and the dragon gets happy and sits next to Hiccup. And at that moment, Hiccup realizes that there are good dragons. After that, Stoic meets Hiccup and tells him, you've been chosen to fight the Gronkle dragon in front of the whole village, and if you win, we'll let you kill your first dragon. I'm excited to see you with the dragon's head on the spear. And Stoic is super proud of his son and asks him to tell him how he improved so suddenly. But Hiccup stays quiet and doesn't want to tell him. So Stoic gives him the helmet to wear while killing the dragon and says, this helmet belonged to your mother, and you deserve it. The next day in the arena, Hiccup and Astrid were fighting the Gronkle dragon. Astrid really wanted to take them down herself, but she loses it when she sees that Hiccup managed to beat the dragon in seconds. And the village elder picks Hiccup to kill the rare dragon tomorrow. But that really bothers Hiccup because he doesn't want to kill any dragon. So he goes to Toothless, planning to take him and leave the village forever. But he gets surprised when he finds Astrid there. She tells him, I came to understand what's really going on because no one becomes as skilled this fast. And Astrid suspects he's training with someone. Hiccup tries to distract her so she doesn't see Toothless, but she knocks him over and pushes him out of her way, and she gets shocked when she sees Toothless. Toothless was about to attack her, but Hiccup stops him and calms him down and tells him she's a friend of mine. But Astrid freaks out and runs away. Toothless grabs her and throws her on a tree trunk. Hiccup tells her, "Give me a chance to explain everything," and he asks her to ride on the dragon with him. She agrees and climbs on behind him, and Toothless flies them far away. Astrid's not scared anymore and starts enjoying the view she sees, and Hiccup gets happy because she hugs him. But by accident, they fly into the smoke and reach the dragon nest, and they see a huge number of dragons next to them. Each dragon was carrying the prey it hunted. Toothless flies with them, and they reach a strange place in the mountain, where all the dragons throw their prey into a deep pit. It turns out that the pit has a giant dragon called the Red Death, and all the food thrown in was for the Red Death dragon. If the Red Death doesn't get fed, it eats the other dragons. So now we understand that the dragons are forced to attack villages and steal food just to offer it to the Red Death and stay alive. The Red Death smells the humans and was about to attack them, but Hiccup and the others manage to escape. Astrid wants to tell Stoic everything she saw, but Hiccup stops her because if she does, the Vikings will kill Toothless. Astrid is shocked and says, "We found the dragon nest, and you want to hide it just to protect your pet dragon?" Hiccup tells her, "Give me till tomorrow and I'll figure something out." She agrees and tells him she likes him, and she leaves. The next day, all the villagers gather to watch Hiccup kill his first dragon. And Stoic says, 2 weeks ago, if someone told me my son would take first place in training, I wouldn't have believed it. I'm so proud of him for what he's done. From today, he becomes a Viking warrior like the rest of us. Hiccup hears all that and tells Astrid, "I want to stop all these wrong traditions." Then he walks into the arena and stands in front of the rare dragon. Suddenly, Hiccup throws down his shield and sword, trying to calm the dragon because he doesn't want to kill it. He takes off his helmet and says, "I'm not like the Vikings." Everyone there is shocked, and Stoic loses it and slams his hammer on the metal. The dragon senses danger and tries to kill Hiccup. Astrid jumps in to defend Hiccup, but fails. That's when Toothless hears Hiccup screaming and struggles to fly and save him. The dragon was just about to get Hiccup, but Toothless arrives just in time and saves him. He gets into a fight with a rare dragon, and the rare dragon gets scared of Toothless and walks away. But the Vikings step in to try and kill Toothless. Toothless pushes them out of his way, and Stoic jumps in to fight him. Toothless was about to kill him, but Hiccup stops him, and the Vikings use the chance to capture Toothless. Stoic talks to his son alone and tells him, "You turned out to be a liar." And Hiccup apologizes and says, "Get mad at me, but don't hurt Toothless." Stoic gets angry that Hiccup only cares about the dragon and says, "Dragons killed hundreds of our people." Hiccup replies, "And we killed thousands of dragons." Hiccup starts to explain that the dragons were forced to steal animals from them to feed a giant dragon. Stoic understands from his words that he found the dragon's nest. He asks, "How did you get there?" Hiccup says, "Toothless took me there." So Stoic decides to use Toothless to take him to the dragon's nest. Hiccup wants to stop his father because it's a dangerous battle, but Stoic pushes him and disowns him, saying, "You're not my son." All the ships get ready, and they take Toothless with them. Hiccup looks at him helplessly. Then Astrid comes to comfort Hiccup and asks, "Why didn't you kill Toothless when you saw him in the forest?" He says, "When I looked into his eyes, I couldn't kill him. I felt like he was just like me." She asks, "So what are you going to do to save him?" He says, "I got an idea." He runs to his friends who trained with him, and Hiccup lets the dragons out of their cages, and he teaches his friends how to bond with them. Meanwhile, Stoic was following the directions Toothless was looking at, and that's how he found the dragon's nest. They attack the mountain with weapons, then throw a fireball in the middle of the dragons. The dragons get scared and fly away. The Vikings think they won and start celebrating, but Stoic feels like it's not that easy, and he's right. The Red Death dragon wakes up and starts destroying the mountain. The Vikings get scared and run. Stoic and Gabber are shocked by how huge the dragon is. The Vikings attack, but nothing affects him. He breathes fire and destroys all the ships. Stoic and Gabber try to distract the dragon so the Vikings can escape. The dragon is about to eat them, but Hiccup and his friends arrive riding dragons. Hiccup's friends distract the dragon while Hiccup goes to free Toothless from a fire. But over time, Hiccup's friends lose control of the dragons. The Red Death hits the ships with its tail, and Hiccup and Toothless fall into the water. Hiccup passes out, but his dad saves him, then goes to free Toothless. Toothless gets out on land. Hiccup rides him again, and Stoic apologizes to Hiccup for everything and says, "You don't have to fight the dragon." Hiccup says, "No, we're Vikings." "This is our duty." And Stoic says, "I'm proud that you're my son." Hiccup's friends return to ride their dragons. And the Red Death was about to eat Astrid. But Toothless hits it hard and saves her. She falls, and he takes her to safety. Hiccup comes up with a plan to take down the dragon. He makes Toothless hit it again. That makes the Red Death furious and makes it chase them. Hiccup smiles because his plan is working. He makes Toothless fly up high, and the Red Death can't find them in the clouds. Toothless takes the chance and attacks several times. The dragon gets mad and loses control, starts breathing fire everywhere, and the fire hits the fin on Toothless' tail and sets it on fire. The dragon chases them and wants to kill them no matter what. Hiccup waits for it to open its mouth and makes Toothless fire into the gas inside. The Red Death explodes from the inside, crashes into the ground, and dies. But sadly, Toothless and Hiccup crash too. Hiccup passes out and falls into the fire. Toothless dives in to save him. After the fire calms down, Stoic looks for his son everywhere, but can't find him. He sees Toothless alone, and everyone thinks Hiccup is dead. But it turns out Toothless protected Hiccup and saved him. He was alive, just unconscious. Stoic thanks Toothless for saving his son. Hours later, Hiccup wakes up at home. Toothless is next to him, super happy that Hiccup is okay. Hiccup realizes his leg got cut off during the battle, and Gobber made him a metal leg instead. At first, Hiccup can't walk on it. Toothless helps him. When he opens the door, he's shocked to see dragons now living peacefully with people. Everyone comes to greet Hiccup. Astra checks on him, and Gobber gives him a new fin for Toothless' tail. Hiccup installs it, and now, Berk enters a new age of peace between people and dragons. Hiccup and his friends fly off with their dragons. And after 5 years from the peace that happened between both sides, new sports appeared like dragons and their riders competing to hunt animals, and the one who collects more animals in his basket wins the game. And also, the village now has stables made just for dragons and lots of services for them. And we go back to the dragons and riders competition, and Stoic was cheering for Astra to win and saying, "She's going to be my future son's wife." And Astrid and her dragon Stormfly managed to win the match, and everyone cheers for her. But Hiccup wasn't part of that game. He was flying far away with Toothless, soaring high in the sky. Then Hiccup separates from his dragon and falls from a really high distance. And he uses his newest invention, which is wings that let him fly like Toothless. And they both fly together, but Hiccup was about to hit the rocks, so Toothless grabs him and they land on this island safely. And Hiccup takes off his helmet, and we see him all grown up. He was going on adventures with Toothless and discovering new areas and islands. And Hiccup was drawing those places on his map, and he hoped to find more dragons living in those regions. Then Astrid arrives and meets Hiccup and asks him, "Why didn't you come to the match today?" So he fires up and says, "Because I was avoiding my dad. My dad wants me to be chief of the village after him, and I'm rejecting that because I'm not ready to be chief. Running the village and its stuff isn't my thing." But Astrid gets happy about that news and tells him, "Being chief is such an honor." And while they're talking, Hiccup notices smoke from far away. So they get on their dragons and fly toward the smoke to see what's going on. And they get surprised by a giant ice mountain in the middle of the sea and start wondering what happened here. Suddenly, some hunters throw a net on the dragon Stormfly and manage to catch her. And Hiccup faces those hunters with his flaming sword. And the dragon hunter, whose name is Eret, talks, and it turns out Eret thinks that Hiccup and Astrid are the ones who caused the ice mountain and that they destroyed their fort like this. And he also tells them, "You and your friends stole our dragons." And Hiccup and Astrid didn't understand what he was talking about. And Hiccup tells him, "We didn't steal any dragons, and we don't know any dragon that spits ice from its mouth." And they were shocked to learn that there are other riders riding dragons because they thought they were the only ones in the world riding dragons. But Eret tells them, "It's time for me to catch the Night Fury dragon to deliver it to our leader Drago, who's collecting dragons to take over the world." But Hiccup gets fed up with Eret and tells him, "We're leaving right now." But Eret orders his men to attack them. But Toothless shoots fire on the ice and stops them. And Hiccup and Astrid free Stormfly and escape. And Eret tells them, "Drago will get revenge on you." After that, Hiccup and Astrid return to the village. And Hiccup quickly goes to his dad and tells him what happened. At first, Stoic didn't really care about what he said, but he gets shocked when Hiccup tells him about Drago and that he wants to build a dragon army and steal their dragons. And it shows that Stoic knows Drago well, and he gives orders to all the villagers to lock up their dragons, and no dragon is allowed to leave the village. And Hiccup gets surprised by his reaction and asks, "All this because of Drago?" Stoic tells him, "Drago is a crazy person with no conscience, and as long as he's building a dragon army, then we're in big danger." So Hiccup suggests let's go find Drago and talk to him. But Stoic refuses the idea and thinks the right thing to do is to fortify the village and prepare for war with Drago. And the idea of talking to Drago is completely rejected because he won't change his mind. But Hiccup refuses to listen to his dad and takes Toothless and flies fast before the gates close. And Astrid decides to follow him with her dragon and escapes fast too. Both of them go to Aerith's ship and surrender themselves. And Aerith was surprised. Hiccup and Astrid put themselves in prison. Aerith asks Hiccup, "Why are you surrendering yourself?" Hiccup said, "I want to reach Drago no matter what and talk to him to change his mind about stealing dragons. And I want to explain to him that once a dragon trusts you, the dragon can do anything for you." Aerith rejects his words. Suddenly, Stoic and Gabber arrive with an army from the village, coming to rescue Hiccup. They attack Aerith and defeat him. And Stoic orders Hiccup to come back with him to the village, but Hiccup refuses. So Stoic tells him, "You won't be able to change Drago's mind because he wants war." And he tells him, "A long time ago, I was part of a meeting of the kingdom leaders, and we were discussing the dragon disaster we're facing. Suddenly, Drago interrupted the meeting and told us he has a way to control dragons, and that he can protect us from them. But he demanded we kneel to him and consider him our leader. Everyone in the meeting refused and laughed at him. So Drago decided to get revenge on us. Dragons appeared and attacked us all, and everyone in the meeting died except Stoic. And Stoic tells Hiccup, "That's why I'm afraid for you, because Drago is dangerous, and we can't talk to him." But still, Hiccup wanted to try to talk to him, so he takes Toothless and flies. Stoic gets angry at Hiccup's stubbornness. Astrid wanted to go with him, but Stoic stops her and tells her to stay. Hiccup and Toothless are flying in the sky. Suddenly, a masked person appears next to them, riding a dragon. At first, Hiccup and Toothless get worried and distracted by him. But another dragon appears and kidnaps Hiccup. Toothless falls into the ice because he can't fly without Hiccup, so he can't save him. Water dragons appear and take Hiccup away. The dragons who kidnapped Hiccup take him to an ice mountain and enter inside. Hiccup is scared of these dragons, so he pulls out his sword to defend himself and tries to scare them away. The masked person intervenes and makes the dragons bring Toothless. Hiccup reassures Toothless. We see that the masked person can control the dragons and makes them listen to him. Then he comes close to Hiccup, sees the injury on his chin, and takes off his mask. It's a woman who says, "I can't believe after all these years, I see you again." Hiccup asks, "Who are you?" She tells him, "You have the right not to know me because when I left you, you were a baby." Then Valka, Hiccup's mom, appears. Hiccup is shocked. At the same time, Stoic and Gabber are searching for Hiccup. They see the hole Toothless fell into. Stoic goes down the hole and sees Hiccup's helmet. He gets worried and feels that his son is in danger. He smells Toothless' scent to follow Hiccup's trail. Back to Hiccup, who is still shocked. The place inside the mountain is home to many dragons. He asks her, "Where were you all this time?" She says, "I've been here for 20 years. He's amazed by the place. Valka likes Toothless and plays with him. She tells Hiccup, "Toothless is 20 years old like you, and he's probably the last dragon of his kind." She says, "Drago and the hunters hurt many dragons, and I take care of them and watch over them." Hiccup tells her that he also saved Toothless when he was in the forest and made him a prosthetic tail. Valka is surprised that his dad allowed him to keep a dragon. Hiccup says, "I was able to change my dad's and the whole village's mind about dragons, and now everyone in the village has a dragon." She's happy with that and tells him, "I tried a long time ago to convince your dad that we should live with the dragons in peace, but of course he refused." She tells him that once a dragon broke into their house and was getting close to him when he was a baby, so she ran to protect him, but she found the dragon playing with him. So she realized that dragons are kind creatures, and by mistake, the dragon made the scar on your face. When I looked into the dragon's eyes, I got attached to him and became like you, unable to kill dragons. But Stoic intervened and attacked the dragon, and the dragon kidnapped her and ran away with her. Since then, Valka didn't return home or see her family, and she lived here among the dragons for 20 years. Valka continues and tells him, "This whole place is the home of a huge dragon called Alpha, and he is one of the very rare dragons who can control all the dragons by using sound waves. He is the one who shoots ice from his mouth and created this ice mountain for us. All the dragons live here peacefully because of him." Meanwhile, Astrid and her friends were very worried about Hiccup and suspected Drago kidnapped him. Astrid kidnaps Aerith and flies with him, ordering him to take them to Drago's place, or she will leave him here. But Aerith refuses, so Astrid throws him. While he's falling, Aerith says, "I agreed to take you to Drago." Astrid saves him. Then Hiccup and Valka come out of the mountain with many dragons. Alpha Dragon comes out of the water and brings them a lot of fish. And all the dragons start eating, including Toothless. Hiccup adds this place to his map. Valka is amazed to see that Hiccup can fly using the wings he made for himself. Hiccup almost crashes again into the rocks, but Toothless saves him. Valka comes to check on her son and promises she won't leave him again. She asks him to listen to her and says, "I will teach you everything I've learned about dragons." The first thing she teaches him is that he can extend sensors from Toothless back, and Toothless himself didn't know this secret. She tells Hiccup, "You inherited from me the love of dragons, and together we will discover more dragons, because the love of dragons connects us, and we will make the world a safe place for all dragons." She hugs her son. Back to Astrid and her friends. Eret takes them to Drago's place. Astrid sneaks and sees the place from afar. She discovers Drago hides a very powerful dragon underwater. Suddenly, Drago's men appear and poison all the dragons with Astrid and the knights. They manage to capture them and take them to Drago. One of the dragons wakes up from the drug and struggles to free himself, but Drago orders his men to leave him. Drago stands in front of the dragon and blocks the fire coming from him using his jacket, because his jacket is made from dragon skin. Drago shouts at him and scares him and makes him kneel, then pretends he caught Astrid, who is held hostage until here on purpose. He tells her that their village has many dragons. Astrid interrupts and tells Drago that Hiccup will bring many dragons and save them, because he is the greatest person who rode a dragon, and he will ride the Night Fury and destroy your place. Drago is surprised when he finds out all these people ride dragons. He decides to make a plan to attack the Ice Mountain and first kill Alpha Dragon, then attack Burke Village. He orders his men to kill Eret, but Stormfly Dragon intervenes and saves him, but doesn't stay quiet for long because he gets scared by Drago's men. At that time, Eret decides to ally with Astrid and her friends. Drago's men decide to throw Eret and Astrid into the water, but Eret suddenly attacks Drago's men, frees himself, and manages to drug all of them. He kills them and saves Astrid and her friends, and they go to free their dragons. Back to Hiccup, who was preparing to leave and look for Drago. He is surprised by Stoic arriving and taking him to leave the place. Hiccup tries to stop him to tell him that his mom is still alive, but Stoic is shocked to see her in front of him and couldn't believe his eyes. She tells him, "You must be upset with me for leaving you and leaving our son all those years. But I couldn't live in the tower because no one wanted to stop the fighting with the dragons. And I admit I was wrong to leave you to raise our son alone." Stoic approaches her and doesn't blame her for anything. He tells her she is still beautiful as she is and is happy she turned out to be alive. And so Stoic and Hiccup start telling Valka everything that happened in the last 5 years. Stoic sings to Valka and tells her, "Nothing will ever separate me from you again." And they dance while they are at the peak of happiness. Stoic asks her to go back home and become a family again, and she agrees. But all this happiness disappears when they see the dragons flying away scared, and the Ice Mountain is being attacked. It turns out Drago's army has arrived. Valka gets angry and goes to Alpha's team. At that time, Astrid and the knights arrive with the dragons, and a battle begins between the Ice Mountain dragons and Drago's dragons. But Drago's army is prepared with clever traps to catch the dragons. However, Astrid and the knights destroy the traps and free the dragons. And so Toothless joins the battle, and they are overpowering Drago's army. Valka appears with her dragon, and Alpha's dragon appears too. Drago is happy because this is what he wanted, and he announces the appearance of his dragon, which is also an alpha dragon, but black, and it has the same power as the white alpha dragon. This dragon changes the balance of the battle. Drago fights Valka and was about to kill her, but Stoic saves her. A battle happens between the black and white alpha dragons. Stoic fights Drago. At first, the battle between the dragons was equal, but with time, the black dragon managed to kill the white one and emits sound waves, controlling all the dragons present. Drago orders the dragons to kill everyone, but Hiccup stops them and talks to Drago, asking, "What will you gain from all this? Dragons are good creatures and can live with humans." Drago shows him that his arm was cut off because of the dragons. Because the dragons attacked his village long ago, killed his family, and destroyed his town. Since then, his goal became to free all the peoples of the world from dragons, and he plans to gather all the dragons to kill them. Hiccup tells him, "Humans and dragons live together in peace in our village. Let me show you my village so you believe me." But Drago, who is crazy, refuses to listen and forces the alpha dragon to control Toothless. At first, Toothless resists as much as he can, but eventually, he falls under the Alpha Dragon's control. Drago orders Toothless to kill Hiccup. Toothless was going to kill him, but Stoic intervenes, taking the blow instead of his son. Stoic doesn't care who dies and walks away. Unfortunately, Stoic dies, and Hiccup goes crazy and refuses to believe what happened. Toothless regains consciousness and goes to check on Stoic, but Hiccup pushes him away and orders him to leave. The Alpha Dragon gathers all the dragons and makes them follow him. Toothless wanted to escape, but Drago catches him and keeps him under the Alpha Dragon's control. Drago heads to Burke Village to control the dragons there. Then Stoic is buried on the ship, and they hold a funeral ceremony, bidding farewell to their great king. Hiccup feels regret over his father's death, and his mother comes to comfort him, telling him that Toothless is not to blame because he was not conscious. She says, "Your father wanted you to be the leader, and you are the only one who can unite the humans and dragons army." Hiccup is encouraged by his mother's words and says, "I didn't want to be like my father because I thought it was impossible for a person to be that great and brave. But from today, I will try to be like him. And now, I'm the leader who will protect his village." He tells his friends, "We will go rescue our village." They ride the small dragons and fly there. It turns out the small dragons are not under the Alpha Dragon's control. We go to Drago, who has arrived at Burke Village, and he controls all the dragons in the village. Hiccup tells the villagers, "Your leader is dead, and no one can protect you now." Then Hiccup and his friend arrive, and Hiccup orders his friends to distract the Alpha. They actually do that, and Hiccup goes to talk to Toothless, who is ridden by the Alpha. He apologizes to Toothless for the way he talked to him, and tells him, "You are a dear friend to me," then puts his hand on his head. At that moment, Toothless wakes up, breaks free from the Alpha's control, and throws the Alpha off his back. Toothless falls, but Hiccup jumps after him, manages to reach him, and joins with him, covering his eyes so the Alpha can't control him. Then they avoid the Alpha's ice attack. Hiccup separates from Toothless, sprays gas on his sword, causing a big explosion. Hiccup stands in front of Drago to finish him, but the Alpha attacks Hiccup with ice, and everyone thinks Hiccup froze and died. But the ice explodes, Toothless appears, and Hiccup comes out from inside. Toothless strikes the Alpha Dragon multiple times, revealing his extraordinary power, and all the dragons break free from the Alpha's control, joining Toothless. Then Hiccup tells Drago, "Surrender, it's better for you." But the arrogant Drago refuses. All the dragons launch a crushing attack on the Alpha, and Toothless delivers the final blow, breaking the Alpha's ground. Drago decides to retreat with the Alpha, and he admits his defeat. Everyone cheers for their leader, Hiccup, and celebrates this victory. All the dragons bow to Toothless, considering him the new Alpha Dragon. Hiccup thanks Toothless while playing with him, and every villager gets their dragon back. Then Hiccup lets Astrid take Skullcrusher, which was Stoic's dragon. Astrid thanks him and says it is a great honor. The village's wise woman announces that Hiccup is the new leader, and everything returns to normal. They make a statue of Stoic. A year later, we see Hiccup and his friends wearing outfits made from dragon leather, because this clothing protects them from fire. After that, they fight dragon hunters, defeat them, and free the dragons that were imprisoned in cages. After completing their mission successfully, they ride the dragons and leave, of course accompanied by the freed dragons. They return to Burke Village, and Hiccup tells the dragons, "This village will be your new home." We notice that the number of dragons in the village has greatly increased. Hiccup's friends are happy they finished the mission successfully. Valka tells them, "You rely too much on dragons in battle. You must learn to depend on yourselves." There was a giant dragon playing in the village, which accidentally destroyed many houses. Gabber says to Hiccup, "Your mission is to keep the village order, not to stand watching like us. Besides, the island is already full of dragons, so you shouldn't bring more dragons to the village, because that endangers us. The hunters might attack us." Hiccup replies, "Don't worry, everything is under control. I'm proud that I managed to make Vikings and dragons live together." Gabber tells Hiccup and Astrid, "It's time for you two to get married," but they refuse, thinking they're not ready yet. Elsewhere, we meet a dragon hunter named Grimble, who has a terrifying and scary dragon. He is the reason behind the extinction of all night fury dragons, because he killed them all. Grimble gathers his men and asks about their dragon hunts. They tell him that Hiccup and his friends always attack them and free the dragons they catch. Grimble says, "I'm not bothered by that, because my goal is to kill all dragons." Hiccup makes his job easier. because he gathers all the dragons in one place. They tell Grimble, but there is still a night fury dragon protecting all the dragons. Grimble is shocked because he thought he had killed all the night furies. He asks, "What should we do about that?" They reply, "We have a bait to catch the night fury, a female night fury dragon." Grimble likes the idea, underestimates Hiccup, and says, "He's just a kid and will be easily defeated." Then Hiccup remembers when he was young with his father, and Stoik was telling him, "One day, you will rule the village instead of me, and you will be responsible for the village's safety. There's a hidden world somewhere, from which all dragons come. One day, I will find that hidden world, and I will close its gate forever so no more dragons come to us, and we will enter into a war with them." Currently, Hiccup and Toothless are playing together, and Toothless has improved his flying a bit on his own. Hiccup is sitting alone, thinking about how to find the hidden world. Astrid comes to sit with him and says, "Gabber is right. The whole world knows that our village is full of dragons, so we are putting ourselves in danger. Dragon hunters might attack us." Hiccup tells her about the hidden world and says, "Maybe that is the solution, and we all move there to live." But Toothless strongly rejects this idea because Hiccup's father entrusted him with protecting this village. While they were talking, Toothless felt something strange in the forest, so he flew over there. He was amazed when he saw a night fury female called Light Fury. He approached her slowly, and when she saw him, she was impressed. Toothless was happy to see someone from his own species, but the night fury female sensed Hiccup's presence, got angry, and tried to attack him. Fortunately, the strike hit a tree. Astrid saved Hiccup before a second strike could kill him. After that, the night fury female got scared and fled. Toothless tried to fly after her because he didn't want her to leave, but he failed and couldn't catch up. Hiccup and Astrid were surprised to see another night fury dragon, and they named her Light Fury. Later, Hiccup discovered that Toothless had fallen in love with Light Fury. Toothless saw two dragons from the same species playing together, and he wished to do the same with Light Fury. When Hiccup saw this, he decided to return to the forest to try to find Light Fury again. He took his friend, Snotlout, with him. They were surprised to find a tranquilizer arrow on the ground, which made them realize there were traps in the area. Hiccup ordered Toothless to stay still. He found the trap and went to tell Gabber what happened. He told him someone wanted to capture Toothless. Astrid said, "I know who that arrow belongs to. It's from a guy named Grimble. He is the smartest dragon hunter I've ever seen. Surely, he left the trap in the forest like this for a reason. He wanted you to discover the trap. Don't underestimate Grimble. He's stronger and smarter than any enemy you've faced before. Be cautious, because he will come back." At night, Hiccup sat flipping through maps, trying to find the hidden world. Suddenly, Grimble entered, shot a tranquilizer arrow at Toothless, and put him completely to sleep. Grimble sat on Stoik's chair and introduced himself, saying, "I killed all the Night Fury dragons except Toothless. Now you will give me Toothless quietly so I can kill him, or else I'll kill you first, then him." Of course, Hiccup refused. Grimble realized that Hiccup had tricked him. The one hit by the arrow wasn't Toothless, but an ordinary person. Astrid, Valka, and Gabber appeared to fight Grimble. Hiccup told Grimble, "Do you think you can threaten me so easily in my own home?" It turned out Grimble had prepared for everything, and his dragons invaded the place, destroyed Hiccup's house, and launched an attack on them. Our heroes narrowly dodged the attacks. Grimble told Hiccup, "When I return, prepare Toothless, or I will destroy everything you love." Then he left. Hiccup and Valka saw many houses in the village burning. After that, Hiccup gathered all the villagers and said, "This time, we face a very strong enemy. I underestimated him, and he will not stop until he achieves what he wants. Unfortunately, we are not ready for war. So, I suggest that we leave the village, take the dragons, and go search for the hidden world to live there. I know you will be upset because we will leave Berk, but Berk is not just a village. Our people are the village of Berk, and wherever we go, that place will be Berk." The people agreed with Hiccup's idea. We then see them traveling on dragons while Grimble finds out what happened. He reveals that this was part of his plan and that he knew they would leave the village. He tells his men that Hiccup and his people won't get far because Night Fury dragons cannot travel long distances and need a rest. He says, "I know how they traveled. They must have chosen this route because it's full of islands where they can rest. I sent Light Fury after them, and this will distract Toothless." Sure enough, we see Light Fury flying near the people of Berk. When Toothless sees her, he immediately heads toward her. She grabs Hiccup and throws him into the air, then calms him down because she doesn't like him. Toothless saves Hiccup, and then Light Fury disappears. The people of Berk land on this island so that Toothless and the dragons can rest. But the villagers like the island so much. They decided to consider it their new home and named it New Berk. Hiccup interrupts them, saying, "We're supposed to camp here for a while, not stay forever." But they refuse to listen, saying, "We're still not sure if the hidden world even exists." Valka calms Hiccup down, saying, "Vikings are very stubborn." Hiccup agrees because he feels the island is far enough away to prevent Grimble from finding them. He tells the villagers, "We will stay here until Toothless and I discover the location of the hidden world." Then Valka tells Hiccup, "I want to make sure no one is following us, and try to rethink the hidden world idea, because I tried to find it before and failed." She leaves. At night, Toothless senses Light Fury's presence in the forest. When he goes out searching for her, he finds her and is very happy. He follows her to a lake. Hiccup wakes up and sees them from distance, signaling to Toothless to dance and impress Light Fury. But when Toothless does this, Light Fury is not impressed. She flies and lands far away from him. Toothless decides to draw a picture in the sand, which turns out to be a drawing of Light Fury. She gets very happy and starts to approach him. But when she sees Hiccup, she decides to walk away. Toothless tries to fly after her, but fails because his tail doesn't help him fly well. Hiccup spends the whole night crafting a new tail for Toothless so he can fly on his own with Light Fury. After he finishes making it, he goes to fit it on Toothless. Toothless is very happy, hugs Hiccup, and Hiccup lets him fly to search for Light Fury. He tells Toothless, "Don't be late, try to come back before sunset." Toothless agrees and flies. Meanwhile, Valka discovers that Grimble is approaching the island with his army. She is shocked and rushes back to warn Hiccup. Toothless flies above the clouds and manages to find Light Fury. Light Fury shows him her camouflage move, shoots fire into the air, disappears, and appears somewhere else. Toothless tries to imitate her, but fails. He keeps trying until he suddenly releases a strong electric energy and actually manages to appear somewhere else. The two dragons fall in love and fly together to a distant waterfall. Hiccup becomes very worried because Toothless hasn't returned yet. He assumes Toothless' tail got damaged or something happened to him, and he's not sure about Light Fury. After a while, Valka arrives and warns Hiccup, telling him that Grimble is approaching with more than 100 ships and has cages large enough to imprison all their dragons. Hiccup decides they must attack Grimble first before he attacks them. So Hiccup and his friends take their dragons and head there. They jump onto Grimble's ship unnoticed and advance inside. But Grimble discovers them and activates his trap. A large cage falls and traps all of them except Hiccup. Grimble taunts him, "Where's your dragon?" The best way to hunt is to separate the prey from its owner. Hiccup asks him why he's doing this. Grimble tells his story. "When I was young, I encountered a Night Fury dragon and managed to kill it. Because of that, my whole village considered me a hero. Since then, I decided to kill all Night Fury dragons to make the world peaceful. You appeared and said dragons are beautiful and we must live with them. But that nonsense will end when I kill you." Hiccup asks about the dragons Grimble keeps. Grimble replies, "These dragons I control to kill other dragons, and I control them with a special poison I make." He says he will show Hiccup how obedient they are. Grimble commands his dragons to attack Hiccup and his friends. The dragons start releasing burning gas from their mouths. Fortunately, the heroes manage to escape miraculously, mount their dragons, and flee. It turns out Grimble captured one of the villagers named Raven. When Hiccup and his friends return to the island, they realize Raven isn't with them. Astrid blames her brother, Toughnut, because they were both riding the same dragon. Hiccup says, "I'll take Toothless and go bring her back." The villagers tell him Toothless hasn't returned yet and probably won't. He might stay with Light Fury. Hiccup feels upset and frustrated because he never imagined Toothless wouldn't come back. He feels weak without Toothless and doubts he can be the leader without him. Astrid sympathizes and lets Hiccup ride her dragon to search for Toothless. Astrid's Stormfly follows Toothless' scent and leads them to the waterfall where Toothless and Light Fury arrived. Then it takes them to a very beautiful place, which turns out to be the hidden world. Hiccup and Astrid are amazed by the beauty of the place. They see very small dragons and also some large dragons, but these keep their distance so they won't be seen. Hiccup and Astrid see all the dragons bowing to Toothless and Light Fury, who is now officially married to Toothless. Hiccup feels sad because he senses Toothless might leave him. Suddenly, a dragon spots them and yells, alerting all the dragons. All the dragons try to attack them, but Toothless intervenes, takes them, and flies away with them. Then all the dragons calm down and don't attack anymore. Toothless returns them to the island. At that moment, Hiccup realizes that his people won't be safe in the hidden world. He tells Toothless, "I understand your decision. You belong there with Light Fury, but we don't." But Toothless is happy when he sees Light Fury came with him. Hiccup is glad because now Toothless won't leave him, and maybe they can all live together. At that moment, Raven suddenly appears. Everyone is surprised and asks her, "How did you escape from Grimble?" She replies, "I kept telling Grimble many stories until he got tired and lost patience. So he decided to release me." Hiccup worries because this means Grimble might have followed her to find the island's location. He rushes to warn Toothless, but he's too late. Grimble arrives and captures Toothless and Light Fury. He takes them away, and all the dragons on the island come out to attack Grimble. But Grimble calms Toothless down and threatens, "Tell all these dragons to stay away, or I'll kill Light Fury." Toothless passes by the dragons, and they don't interfere. Grimble taunts Hiccup, "You're worthless without your dragon." He orders Toothless to lead all the dragons after them. Grimble takes Toothless and Light Fury and escapes, with all the dragons chasing them. When Grimble returns to his fleet, he imprisons all the dragons in cages. Hiccup is at his lowest, feeling like a failure as a leader. He blames himself, saying, "I shouldn't have gone looking for Toothless in the hidden world. He didn't come after me. Now I feel like the same failure I was before I met Toothless." Astrid tries to comfort him. "I was the first one to believe in you. I wouldn't be where I am today without you. You're the bravest and strongest person I've ever known. Toothless didn't give you those qualities. They've always been inside you." Hiccup feels encouraged by her words. He thanks her, then tells his friends, "Get ready. We're going to rescue Toothless and Light Fury." Hiccup gives them wings so they can fly. They all jump off the mountain and take to the sky. Grimble almost kills Toothless, but Hiccup and his friend arrive just in time. Hiccup knocks Grimble off his weapon, and Toothless signals the dragons to break the cages and free the prisoners. They start destroying the ships. Hiccup's friends fight Grimble's men. Grimble tries again to kill Toothless, but Toothless shoots a spike that destroys his weapon. Hiccup's friends defeat Grimble's men and blow up one of the ships. Hiccup rides Stormfly to rescue Toothless, but Grimble stabs Light Fury with his poison, controlling her. Meanwhile, Hiccup's friends free the rest of the dragons from the cages, and a giant dragon destroys the ships. After rescuing Toothless, he chases Grimble. Grimble sends his dragons to attack Toothless. The dragons swoop down on Toothless, but he gathers his strength, calls down lightning, and disappears. He appears in front of Grimble, and the lightning kills the attacking dragons. Hiccup jumps on Grimble, but Grimble injects Toothless with a tranquilizer. Toothless falls midair. Hiccup hits Grimble and knocks him off Light Fury's back, but Grimble grabs Hiccup's leg. Hiccup is shocked as he falls, and he talks to Light Fury, asking her to protect Toothless. Grimble lets go of Light Fury because he prefers to capture Toothless. Light Fury saves Toothless, and Hiccup is falling through the air with Grimble. He sees Light Fury coming to save him, which gives him an idea. Hiccup frees his leg from Grimble's grip, falls into the water, and Grimble dies. Light Fury rescues Hiccup just in time. All the villagers come to greet Hiccup, praising him for rescuing them and freeing the dragons. Hiccup walks on one leg toward Toothless, checks that he's okay, and leaves him with Light Fury. Then he tells Toothless, "You've saved us many times and helped us, but now it's time to think of yourself. I want you to take all the dragons and go live in the hidden world where they'll be safer." After hearing this, the villagers go to say goodbye to their dragons. Toothless bids farewell to Hiccup and hugs him. Then he leads all the dragons away. Hiccup cries as the villagers mourn deeply. Days pass, and Hiccup and Astra get married. About 10 years later, they have 2 children. Hiccup takes his family to the hidden world to visit Toothless. They manage to reach them. Toothless and Light Fury have 3 young dragons. Toothless approaches their ship, intending to attack Hiccup because he doesn't recognize him. He looks different now. But when Hiccup places his hand on Toothless, the dragon remembers him, just like Hiccup did before. Toothless happily jumps on Hiccup, glad to see him. Hiccup introduces his children to Toothless, letting them place their hands on him. Hiccup and his son ride on Toothless' back, and Astrid and her daughter ride Stormfly. They're all happy. And here we reach the end of the How to Train Your Dragon trilogy. See you in the next recap. If you're vibing with the video, make sure to slam that like and spill your opinions and comments. I'm hyped to read them. And yo, gotta subscribe so you catch all the straight fire recaps coming soon.